Hello and welcome. In today's episode, we'll be discussing a critical and ongoing conflict in the city of Goma, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. For years, the eastern part of the DRC has been plagued by instability, but recently, the fighting has intensified, particularly in Goma, a city that has become a focal point of the conflict. The M23 rebel group has launched an assault on the city, and as the situation escalates, it has led to hundreds of civilian casualties and widespread suffering. The latest reports indicate that the M23 has taken control of Goma's airport and has seized key areas of the city. As of now, the exact territorial control of Goma by both the M23 and the Congolese government forces remains unclear. What we do know, however, is that the fighting has left hospitals overwhelmed, with over 100 dead and nearly 1,000 injured, according to reports from local medical centers. The humanitarian crisis in the region is growing by the day, and it's crucial we understand the context behind this violence and what's being done to resolve it. The M23, a rebel group that has been active in the eastern DRC since 2012, initially disbanded after a peace agreement with the government in 2013. However, in recent years, the group has re-emerged, once again fueling instability in the region. They claim to be fighting for the protection of the Tutsi ethnic group, a minority in the DRC, against both government forces and other militia groups. On the other hand, the Congolese government and many in the international community consider the M23 a terrorist organization, responsible for causing violence and instability. As the fighting rages on, the impact on civilians in Goma has been devastating. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, has reported that over 500,000 people have been displaced in the surrounding areas, with many fleeing to refugee camps in neighboring countries like Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. The conditions in these camps are dire, with overcrowding, limited access to food and clean water, and a lack of medical resources to deal with the wounded. International humanitarian organizations like the Red Cross have been trying to provide relief, but delivering aid has proven difficult due to the intensity of the conflict. Supplies are being delayed, and many civilians are left without the care they desperately need. The situation is further exacerbated by the region's already fragile infrastructure and the ongoing challenges in delivering basic services. The conflict is not just a military confrontation, it's also deeply political. Rwanda has been accused of supporting the M23 rebels, though the Rwandan government denies these allegations. This has created further tensions between the DRC and Rwanda, as well as with the broader international community. The United Nations and various human rights organizations have called for an investigation into Rwanda's involvement in the conflict, and there are growing concerns about how this will impact the already fragile security situation in the Great Lakes region. In response to the growing crisis, the international community has called for immediate ceasefires and for peace talks to resume. The United Nations Security Council has urged all parties involved to stop the violence and engage in dialogue, but so far, a resolution remains elusive. In the midst of this turmoil, Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta has stepped forward to mediate peace talks. The East African Community, EAC, which Kenya is a part of, has taken a proactive role in trying to facilitate discussions between the DRC government and the M23. President Felix Tshisekedi of the DRC is set to meet with Rwandan President Paul Kagame at a special summit hosted by Kenya, aimed at de-escalating the conflict and finding a peaceful solution. However, as we've seen in the past, achieving peace in this region is not easy. The DRC has faced years of instability, not just from rebel groups like the M23, but also from the country's ongoing internal struggles, including political instability, corruption, and economic challenges. The eastern DRC is rich in natural resources, which has led to foreign interest and further complicated the situation. This region's conflicts are not just about military power, they're also about control over valuable resources like minerals, which continue to fuel the violence. As the fighting continues, it's important to remember that the real victims of this conflict are the civilians caught in the middle. While international organizations are doing what they can to provide aid, the scale of the crisis makes it difficult to offer sufficient support. The situation in Goma and other parts of eastern DRC remains critical, and it will take a collective effort from the international community, regional governments, and local leaders to bring about lasting peace. The humanitarian crisis in Goma is a stark reminder of the complexities of modern conflict, where political, ethnic, and economic factors all play a role, but it also shows us the power of diplomacy and international cooperation. Kenya's efforts to mediate peace talks, and the involvement of regional organizations like the East African Community, are crucial steps toward bringing stability to the region. Despite the challenges, there is hope. Peace is always possible, but it requires dialogue, commitment, and the support of the global community. As we watch the events unfold, let's continue to keep the people of Goma and the DRC in our thoughts, hoping that they can soon find the peace they desperately need. Thank you for tuning in today. Please subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell for updates on this ongoing situation. We'll continue to bring you the latest news and insights on global conflicts and their humanitarian impacts. Stay informed, stay compassionate, and join us in working towards a better, more peaceful world.